ask yourself this question. What is one thing you're doing in your life that gives you the feels?
The millennial generation is as follows.
Welcome to
Surrounded by Idiots
Radio Podcast.
If you've ever thought to yourself, I am completely surrounded by idiots, you are in the right place. This is the Surrounded by Idiots radio podcast for those who think differently and for those who want a little bit more out of life. I am Tony Dufresne. I am a PhD, I'm an author, and I'm a full-time Ovaltine drinker. And I'd just like to welcome you all back, all into 2019, and hope things are going well. It's the second week in January. If you're listening to this in real time, and if you did the resolution thing or you're looking to change things up a little bit during the first of the year, I'm hoping it's going well. You know, it's statistically it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to start a new habit, and that's only going to work if you kind of bit off a piece of the sandwich that you could actually chew and swallow. If you're trying to eat the whole elephant, so to speak, it's not going to work, and you're probably crashing and burning right now. January is really tough for me going to the gym because it's slammed, but by I don't know, mid-February or early March, it's great. So hopefully you're one of those that I will see in the gym in March, April, May, June, and July. And things are different this year. You're going to make a small change and make that work. Speaking of that, this week is all about a brand new study that came out. And this is a legit study from a group of British psychologists. It was published in a journal called the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. And it is all about why you need to find a purpose right now. Like, you need a purpose. And I'll tell you the reasons why I'm stressing the a purpose part. Yeah, basically, a growing body of research has found that a feeling that one's life has meaning is associated with a bunch of good, positive stuff. It sounds kind of Captain Obvious, and you probably get that already, but follow me on this, and I'll kind of explain some really cool findings that they got from this study. It's from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. It reveals that the feeling that one is living a worthwhile life appears to be positively linked to just about every aspect of our life, not just our health. If you have a purpose and you're fired up and then you feel more motivated and you go and you work out or you just treat yourself better. The paper was a part of an ongoing British study of older adults, and it's known as the English Longitudinal Study of Aging. Longitudinal being a study that it's the same group of people, and the study lasts for a number of years. Now, the new results are based on data from more than 7,300 adults over the age of 50. Which basically means you're going to get data here from us old people because we've already lived through a bunch of stuff and we can kind of give you an idea of what has worked and what has not. And dealing with 7,300 people, it's going to give you some pretty good results, I would think. Now, every 2 years or so, the participants came in and they sat down for these interviews and a series of medical tests. And they were asked to rate how worthwhile they felt their lives to be on a scale of 1 to 10. So it's not a tough gig. It's basically just, hey, you take this health test, see how you're doing, and then let's talk about how you feel and about what's going on. Now, the results, there were 2 parts to this. Now, the first one was kind of a social aspect of the results. And what they found was higher worthwhile ratings were associated with stronger personal relationships and with broader social engagement, such as involvement in civic organizations and cultural activity and volunteering. Now, marriage was important, but actually so was regular contact with friends. What this means is pretty simple. If you are socially active, if you have solid relationships, and I've talked about it a lot, and I'm not saying you have a ton of friends and you're out there doing a bunch of stuff. If you have really a tribe, you got your tribe. You have 2 or 3 people that are solid. You have a great marriage or a great relationship or a great family, or you got a group of really great friends. That is a key to creating a level of meaning and worth in your life. This is what they found. The second part is the health part. And what they found was, on the health front, those with higher worthwhile ratings, those who rated themselves higher after this longitudinal, this 4-year study, those who rated themselves higher had better mental and physical health. They engaged in more physical activity, they ate more fruits and vegetables, they slept better, and they were less likely to smoke. Number one, why are you smoking? Ask yourself. Smoking is basically, it's a crutch. It's a coping mechanism. There's a lot of other coping mechanisms that you can do. I know it's addictive, and I know it's really hard to get off. I get that. But again, got to ask yourself what's more important, right, for the smoking thing. Sleeping better. I know you give it a shot. I'll let that kind of go, kind of here or there, because a lot of people just genetically have a little bit of a problem sleeping, and but do the best you can. You know kind of how to prep yourself to where you have the right number of hours, and which actually I just read another study that said if you don't get at least 7 hours, it doesn't allow your body to fight off a lot of stuff, and you have more. You have a higher propensity, or you have a higher chance of having plaque in your body, like arteriosclerosis, which is actually plaque that forms in your heart, and that they found a direct correlation between not getting enough sleep and actually creating more plaque in your body, and then the fruits and vegetables things. I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, because I'm still a personal trainer, and I do that stuff along with the success coaching and the career transition stuff that I work with my clients on. And they're always asking me kind of the eating plan, or the what's better, or what do you think about Atkins, or what do you think about keto, or whatever. I'm telling you, there's only really one way to go. And the one way to go is the Mediterranean. And it's because it's not a diet. It's not a quick shift. It's keto's not sustainable. You're not going to be able to do keto for a long time. The other stuff, the Atkins, you can sustain it, but it's not as proven to be as good for your body overall as something that's just more balanced. And the thing is that it's like me. I can't have a lot of carbs because I know that puts weight on, and I can't have a lot of nut butter because I know that puts weight on. But in the understanding that all those things are important in the moderations that are going to work for you, the Mediterranean diet's a no-brainer. They have study after study and just history on its side for the fact that all of these people, that's why they call it the Mediterranean. It's in that area. It kind of stems from that area and what they typically eat and what's natural for the people in the Mediterranean area to eat. They live longer than everybody, except for those Okinawa people. And again, even the Okinawa people on the island off of Japan, it's all vegetables. It's what it is. So if you want, just as a side note, Mediterranean diet, that's what you do. Now, there's an interesting twist about this whole purpose study here. The new study also found that people over time, they found that the more worthwhile they found their lives, the more positive changes they experienced over the 4 years. So this is what this means. Based on this study that lasted this 4 years, they found that some people that were not super healthy or actively socially engaged at the beginning, at the first year, but who had high ratings on how much their life is worth, were likely to see improvements in health and social connections by the end of the 4-year study. Attitude. People that had a good attitude, even though they might not be in the healthiest state, and they might not have their eating plan set up, and they might not have, they might not get enough exercise. They had a positive attitude about life. They had a sense of worth in life. They had a sense of meaning. When they had that, and the other stuff, wasn't super great, what happened is that led to the other parts, the health, the social part, and the health part, increase over the 4 years because of their attitude. So basically, my thoughts about this whole thing are this. This study shows that having a more fulfilling life works in both directions, right? Having a gratitude mindset and a sense of your life having meaning to yourself and to other people actually creates positive momentum to be healthier and to have more social connections. It's the mindset, it's the attitude, it's having that gratitude. And what that does is that kind of fuels the fire, and that creates the positive energy to think to yourself, wow, this is a great life and I'm having a great time. And if I wanted to live longer, and if I wanted to be happier, more fulfilled, and I want to do more things, maybe I should, take up the elliptical, and so I can walk further and in going to a different vacation, and I can take longer hikes or something of that nature. Or I should eat right, because overall I don't want to have a heart attack when I'm 50. Because I want to live, because this is amazing, because this is that's what sustains that you making the tangible changes, the changes, the physical changes, by having an attitude. The second thing is the other direction. So if you go the other direction, your actions, starting to go to the gym, or changing up your eating plan a little bit, buying whole wheat bread instead of the white stuff. Going that way, your actions can be healthier and have more social connections. It positively influences your attitude towards having a purpose and accepting there is meaning to your life, which creates a sense of gratitude, which then fuels you wanting to be healthier and having more deeper social connections, which then feeds back and has an impact on your actions to be healthier. And see how it kind of works? It goes from attitude to action. If you do action and you do positive action and something that's going to make you feel better and get the hormones going in your body, which is huge, then that will definitely have a positive impact on attitude. And then if the other way around, then if your attitude, if you kind of bump it up and say, I do have a lot to live for. I've taken a self-inventory. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be alive in the greatest time in human history, with the internet and technology and information all over the place. And in fact, you can learn anything from anywhere. It's insane. You have that level of gratitude, then that fuels a level of your attitude and appreciation, and that moves forward to saying, if that's the case, then I feel good. I'm gonna go to the gym, or I feel good. I'm gonna go for a walk, something like that. So it kind of goes back and forth. It's such a great. They call it in the study a virtuous loop, which is a cool statement. I really don't have another better statement for it. It's just like one feeds upon the other, and it's just cool. So this also, but what this also shows is this on the downside. It shows that how dangerous isolation is. They really stressed in this study that loneliness is a killer. And if that being the case, how important it is to find your tribe. I literally just watched the newest episode of Adam Ruins Everything, which is the best show on television. It's on the True Channel, TRU, True Channel. If you haven't seen Adam Ruins Everything, it is unbelievable how good that show is. I just watched it right before taping this, and they said something about loneliness and isolation, and they said it equates to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how it impacts you physically and emotionally and mentally. 15 cigarettes a day for being lonely or isolated. That's why it's so important. And if you're an introvert, and I'm kind of an introvert, it just depends. This ambivert, I think everybody's an ambivert being both. And you just kind of have to pick your spot. Sometimes you feel like you're fired up and you want to go out, and sometimes you feel like you just want to stay at home and you don't want to deal with anybody. Why people have to put you in, you have to say you're an extrovert, or you have to put yourself in a classification is ridiculous. Because I've known a lot of people that are relatively shy maybe at the beginning, but once you warm them up, you can't stop them. They're like this force of nature. So I think it's just really important if you are more of a loner, which is fine, or especially for you entrepreneurs out there, and believe me, I spend a lot of time on my own. I have my own home office. I've had my own business for 32, 33 years now. And it's and so you have to find an outlet, find your tribe, find a way to get out there and interact. And that's really, really, really important. So all that being said, I would like to give you as kind of a little like a call to action maybe. I would like to give you a little way how to find your purpose. How to find a purpose. Sorry, so V and A is a big thing, and I want to make that very, very clear. I don't want you to go out and find the purpose of your life or what your meaning of life is. That's why people get so frustrated and they're like, I don't know, forget it. Or I don't know and I don't have one. And then they go back to playing the video games, or they go back to ordering another Big Mac. It's about having a purpose. This whole study is based upon having a purpose. And at the beginning of the study, they talk about it doesn't even matter what you give meaning to in your life. It just doesn't especially, at the beginning or at this point for you. It just doesn't. I like to use the analogy of your first job. This is how I like to explain how to find a purpose. Just something, right? Something to hang your hat on at the beginning. That's all I want. It's like your first job. It's not your dream job. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, it's like 1 in a billion it's going to be your dream job. But what it does is that first job, it serves a purpose. Most of the time, it's money. Right? Now we've got, we're starting to drive or we're starting to date and we want to, buy our date stuff or go out to dinner or we want to buy our own clothes or something. So it's really comes down to kind of a money thing. And it's also your first step into being more independent and responsible. And that's meaning. That's giving your life more meaning. You're becoming more independent. You're becoming to find out who you are as a participating member of society and not just somebody that's in the little cocoon of your family. And being responsible too. It's starting to get you into that mode of being accountable for your own actions and being accountable for showing up to work and being accountable for doing your job the way that the expectations are for that. That I kind of think of a purpose as that, as kind of a first. It's not your dream purpose. It's just like your first job. So I'd like you to ask yourself this question. What is one thing you are doing in your life that gives you the feels? That gives you, that makes you feel good, that gives you some sort of satisfaction or some level of fulfillment, and I'm not talking about you just doing something in your house and or smoking pot or eating a whole pizza on your own. You know what I mean? I'm talking about something that you're out there and you're interacting, you're in the world, and it could be from something at work, like not your job, but maybe a task in your work, or you being a good team member at your job, something like that. It could be you doing some level of volunteering if you do volunteer for work, or if you're taking care of a sick family member, or if you're looking after a neighbor that is older, or just or is not in a good state of mind, something like that. Maybe a cherished relationship, which is actually how they stated it in the study, a cherished relationship, which means a solid relationship. I mean, doesn't your life have meaning when you first fall in love? Isn't that cool? I mean, you think, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. Of course, most of that's just a hormone rush and it kind of, goes away, but then you find a best friend. There's a lot of meaning in that. And you can plant your flag on that being a purpose for you to go forward. Also, maybe even your faith or your spirituality. I mean, if you are religious and if faith is a big thing for you, or if you're just spiritual, maybe that could be something. You could even like pick up trash when you go for a walk. So you are actually having a positive impact on the world. That could literally be a purpose. Or asking someone if they need any help. Or keeping yourself healthy and strong. Keeping yourself healthy and strong is actually give yourself meaning, because now you're healthy and strong and you can do things for people. You are going to be around a long time for your kids if you have kids. You can act as somebody that is a mentor for somebody else who wants to get to that point. There's a ton of ways. So all I'm saying is this: select one thing, just one thing. I'm not saying select. Your meaning is to, create the new, better light bulb or to cure cancer. I'm just saying literally one of these things, or one thing that just gets you off during, every day or close to every day, something that you look at and go, I feel really cool about that. One thing. So select that one thing and write it down as your current purpose. Now, with that in your mind, here's what happens psychologically. You got one little, and you're going to think, well, this is ridiculous. Maybe this is not a purpose. Well, it is actually, technically speaking. It's not a grandiose, it's not a huge purpose, but it is a purpose. What's going to happen is this: your mind is going to settle in on that. It's like the first brick in a foundation of a house. You got to start somewhere. And when you build the foundation for a house, you got to build it really strong. And it's that for, just you clear the dirt out and you just start putting your concrete down or you put your brick down. You got to start with one brick, and this is what the brick is. But what your mind does is it says, okay, we started, I have this brick, and then I got something to work from. Now I know where the brick is on the lot. I know where I can go out this way. I know where I can go out this way. And that is why it's so important to start with if you don't have a purpose now, if you haven't written down a purpose now, do it immediately. Or take out your phone if you're listening to this on the podcast, or you're on a train or you're in your car or something, and go to your notes and put a verbal note down of a purpose or a few things that you think that would be good. All right. So what happens is your mind will settle on that, and now it'll provide other opportunities. You will start to, you won't have the stress of not having a purpose anymore. So now it opens up this whole flow for you to be able to see like other bigger purposes as they come along. And it'll be like a little bit bigger, or it'll be a little more involved, or it'll be more people, or it'll be maybe a little bit of a different thing than what you kind of started with. But you got to start with one thing. Don't go from step 1 to step 153. That's what a big, grand life purpose thing is. Go from step 1 to step 1.5. And that's what this is all about. You subconsciously, you will start to see bigger opportunities to define purpose and have a sense of meaning. And they're all going to build upon each other. And when they do, you're going to get into that loop, that virtuous loop that I talked about, that the study talked about. In terms of now you have your attitude, and now you're going to get healthier. And now you have your attitude, and now you're going to have more friends or deeper relationships. Or now you get healthy, and then you feel better about that. So see how that works? But it all comes down to just making that one decision on a purpose. Remember, not the purpose, a purpose. So have I said purpose enough? That's it. That's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, again, as usual, let me know if you have any comments or questions. It's Tony@javabud.com, JAVABUD. If you have any questions if you have any sticky points, if you're at the beginning of the year and you're still feeling stuck or frustrated, shoot me an email. This is what I do. I do transition coaching, mostly for younger adults that are going through that whole thing about they're out of school or out of college and they have this first job and then it's not working so good and then they don't know what the hell they want to do. And it's very, very important, especially now in your time of life, if you're anywhere between 20 something and mid 30s, is to understand that you can regroup and you have the ability to kind of take a step off that path that you have been on and kind of carve a new one that you actually have full control over in terms of what you want to do. A lot of times we get into school, like I can tell you I did. I mean, I got into school and I picked a major, and it wasn't the major that I really thought that I wanted, but it was something that was agreed upon, like from a family thing, which was fine. Because at 18 or 19, who the hell knows what the hell they want to do? There's very few people. There are some people out there, but I was not. And that's why I like talking to you, because I am the same person. I am that confused 18 or 19-year-old. I was that confused midlife or a quarter-life crisis 26-year-old that lost everything and was $70,000 in debt. I was that guy. But I found out how to get out of that, and I found out how to start my on my more of a meaningful life path. And that's what I help other people with. So if you have any questions about that, or if you want to talk to me about chatting with me about this or getting some guidelines and stuff, then, shoot me an email, Tony@javabud.com, JAVABUD. Hope things are good. I got one last thing before we go. I was cleaning out a bunch of my old stuff. And because I was giving some boxes to my daughter because it's a bunch of stuff that her growing up and all that, and I wanted her to see it. And I came across, and I talked a couple times about my past experience in the radio business back in L.A., and I worked for a station called 105.5 KNAC in Long Beach, Los Angeles. And I covered Live Aid for them. So I was at Live Aid in Philadelphia. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the Bohemian Rhapsody is so huge now. And I have to say, for one thing, that when they did the Live Aid thing of Bohemian Rhapsody, when he was on the piano and he starts off, that was shot for shot exactly how it was. It was amazing how well they copied it, like moment to moment. It was amazing, even down to the point where the beer cups on the piano and how full they were. It was insane how awesome that was. The second thing what I want to tell you is, so I found this, and you guys can see if you guys are watching the YouTube channel from the Java Bud, I have it, and it's this is I got the sweatshirt. It was in like the courtesy pack or whatever. My Live 8 sweatshirt, and see down there it says Philadelphia. So these were only made and only given out to the people who attended the Live Aid in Philadelphia. And of course, everybody's all fired up on the Queen thing. And they have on the back where they have the bands who did it from the United States and the bands who did it from England, from the UK. And down here is Queen. There's Queen, right there. There's Queen. So there you go. So that was it was really cool to see this again, and I was really excited to be able to have it. Of course, being 30-something odd years old, I first of all, I don't wear a medium anymore, and second of all, clothes shrink like crazy, and a 30-year-old piece of clothing is like, I don't think I could put it on a Chihuahua. It's so small now, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to share that with you. I hope things are good. I hope things are great. I really hope that you are continuing your momentum into the beginning of the year, and let me know how it goes. I'll talk to you. Bye.